to the Bay we go. So he started his career known as Mr. Irrelevant after being the last pick in the 2022 NFL Draft, but he's been playing like an MVP. Brock Purdy led the Niners to a 5-0 start this season, throwing for a little over 1,200 yards, 9 TDs. In fact, the Niners' offense as a whole has been explosive. Let me break it down for you. They've scored 30 points in all 5 games this season. They're the 6th team in the NFL history to do that. 4 of the previous 5 went on to reach the Super Bowl. Also, worth noting that San Fran leads the league in scoring defense this year. Shannon, here's what I need to know, okay? This is what I need to know, because this story is unbelievable. It should be a 30 for 30. Mr. Irrelevant to what he's doing now, a good shot at the Super Bowl. But is he really an elite quarterback, or is it just the situation he's in?
No, he's not an elite quarterback. He's a product of the system. It's more credit to Kyle Shanahan and what he's done. He's not, and RC, you'll appreciate this. You know, in the biblical term, the devil told God that Job, the reason why he serves you is because you give everything to him. He said if you remove that hedge from around him, he will curse his very maker.
He'll curse you.
He said you can take everything but his life. Took his kid, took his sheep, took all that. Job was still faithful.
Never cursed him.
I'm not so sure that if we remove Debo, we remove Kyle Shanahan, we removed Ayuk, we would still see this Brock Purdy. He's a product of the system. Now, that's not to take away from what he's doing. It's okay for him to be in the MVP discussion and not be Patrick Mahomes or not be Tua or not be an elite quarterback. He still has to go out there and operate. He just doesn't have to do as much as, say, those other guys. If I were to put him in Patrick Mahomes, if I switch places and says, okay, you got to go do what Patrick Mahomes does, or you got to go do what one of these other quarterbacks, I'm not so sure Brock Purdy could do that. But in this system, the ability to run the football with Christian McCaffrey and all the weapons, because all he has to do is just not turn it over. Get it in the Ayuk's hand, get it in Debo's hands, get it in Kittle's hands, and let them do the work. But no, he's not elite. No stretch of the imagination is he elite.
Brock Purdy is a top 5 quarterback. And I get it, Shay, that if you put him somewhere else and you try to make him, he's a top, doing what he do.
Golfer?
He does it. Shay, doing what he does, where he does it, with the people he does it with, he's a top 5 quarterback. Not only is he a top 5 quarterback, he's a top 2 MVP candidate. Brock Purdy is elite. When I'm watching that game Sunday night, I finally stopped fighting it. And I said, you know what? It doesn't matter where he comes from. It doesn't matter how he got there. It doesn't matter who surrounds him. Brock Purdy is an elite quarterback. Brock Purdy standing across from Dak Prescott, I 100% said to myself, I'd take Brock Purdy over Dak Prescott. When I look at Brock Purdy as compared to the other quarterback, I know, but looking at the quarterbacks that I've seen play in San Francisco, what was always the thing with Jimmy G? Jimmy G wins so many more games compared to his replacements. It was like the war thing, the wins above replacements in baseball. No matter who else played at San Francisco, Kyle Shanahan couldn't win. But when Jimmy G played, suddenly they were a good football team. Guess what? Jimmy G ain't never been this good. Guess what? Jimmy G actually lost games. Brock Purdy has not. Matter of fact, the only game he started that they've lost is because he got hurt. And it ended up being on their 4th quarterback. When you look at it, it's 3rd and 4, right? We're going to hit the post corner to Brandon Ayuk. He's going to run for 40. Oh, let's call it back. Let's go 3rd and 14. Playing against the vaunted Dallas Cowboys rush. Do we just run it? No. Do we throw a swing pass to Christian McCaffrey? No. What do? We go dig to Debo Samuel that's thrown with so much anticipation, it could have been a damn hot air balloon, and he would have caught it. And what happens? He catches it. He catches it running. It hits him where he can get yards after the catch, and that's what happens. Brock Purdy, for all of his measurable deficiencies and athletic deficiencies, and maybe if he was playing in New York, the Jets would still suck. But in San Francisco, he is the one. And right now, Brock Purdy is probably going to be, or have a chance to be your MVP and your Super Bowl champion. And if that don't make you elite, then nothing else does.
Well, if under that argument, Trent Dilfer was elite.
Right. And we're going to go ahead and
Trent Dilfer ain't never win no MVP.
For the rest of the season.
Trent Dilfer ain't never win no MVP. He's never lost a game, y'all. never lost a game.
Yeah, you're right. You're
What
right.
quarterback in the world could be undefeated as a starter and we say he's not a good player because of where he's playing? That's not real.
No, we didn't say that. We didn't say he's not a good player. We said he's not elite. There's a difference between the two. Take out Canty.
Yeah, I mean, he's not elite. And the only reason he's not elite in my book, RC, is because we haven't seen it long enough. He's got 13 starts across the regular season and playoffs.
Yeah.
I need to see a bigger body of work before I'm going to graduate him to a tier 1 quarterback. But I'll say this, it's trending in the right direction because of some of the plays you pointed out. That first drive for the 49ers in the second half against the Cowboys, where he made that throw on 3rd and 14, that was a perfectly layered ball. It was between the linebackers and the safeties. You can't walk it to him any better than that. Ain't that what you like to say, Unc? Brock Purdy makes those wild throws, and we're seeing that in those games be the difference. Like, this guy can make it. The thing that I want to see from Brock that's going to make him elite for me is a bigger sample size, but then also when things are less than ideal, when you don't have everything going in your favor, can you be the difference in your team winning a football game, being on the right side of outcomes, especially when they matter most? Competitive greatness is important, being at your best when your best is required. Now, it wasn't his fault that he got knocked out in the conference championship game against the Eagles on the road, but I need to see you in those types of spots before I'm going to fully believe in you being elite. Now, you're going to have an opportunity. Week 13, you go back to the scene of the crime in Philadelphia. You can prove to me in that game whether or not you can be elite, because that could determine who the number 1 seed is in the NFC once the playoffs kick off.
Yeah, I want to see, I agree. I want to see him from behind because for the most part, he's played with the lead. And we know it's a lot easier playing with the lead. So now when you fall behind, let's just say for the sake of argument, you're down 7, you're down 10, and it's the second half. And throws matter because if you look at it, he's been ahead. So I want to see him, like you said, Canty, I want to see a little larger body of work. And I want to see him in a situation where he's uncomfortable. For the most part, in those 12, 13 starts, he's been very comfortable. I want to see him get uncomfortable and then see if he can remain comfortable.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like, we got to see him in some more adverse situations. It has been some of the better situations for him based on the way his defense has played and also who he has calling plays for him with those skilled players. But I'm just telling you, y'all, when we saw him in the playoffs last year, he was money. When we saw him at the beginning of this season, when the questions were out whether Brock Purdy could be the same thing we saw in his rookie year, he's only gotten better. Yep. And I get it, the New York Giants are not the measuring stick for anybody to be good. But Wink Martindale heated him up, snap after snap after snap, and he put the football exactly where it needs to be, how it needed to be there. I really love what Brock Purdy is doing. I think he's in the perfect place for him, and sometimes that's better than talent.
Okay. He's tied for 3rd in MVP odds with Josh Allen. It goes Mahomes, Tua, and then after that it's Hurts and McCaffrey.